Welcome to Three Blind Mike's podcast, sponsored by the Family Proud, Family Strong Network. Follow their journey as John J., the real hot rod, Cletrodamus, and Portis, the assassin, deliver the bottom line on the greatest pop culture entertainment debates of then and now. The Three Blind Mikes won't know the topic of the show until the show begins, which surely will lead to an unscripted and uncensored good time. Now, let's go in blind on the road to nowhere. Welcome back, folks, to another Three Blind Mikes podcast. This is a special edition, a tribute. I am your host, John J., the real hot rod, and I said John J., the real hot rod. And with me today, folks, and the only one with me today is the assassin. How you doing today, assassin?
Doing great. I'm doing great. I'm got a bag of chips right next to me. I don't know if you have tried these, but they're called the El Rancheros. Are you familiar?
No, I have not been able to dabble into that right now.
Well, if you're in the grocery aisle, they're called El Ranchero, and they've been around since 1970, which according to the bag, they have been.
Oh my goodness!
And what's great about these is they're firm. They don't break apart when you're dipping into that salsa or that bean dip or that salsa bean dip. Like some people make a salsa bean combo dip.
Oh my, that sounds good.
That's great. And they're salty, but not too salty. And they don't have that disgusting lime. I hate that. I don't know if you like your Tostito chips or your tortilla chips with that little hint of lime on there. I hate it. I can't stand it.
Only if I'm drinking some tequila, because it wouldn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, you're just getting numb. So
yeah.
Sure.
So today, folks, we really, our podcast, we really don't do current events. What's going out in the world, but today is some sad news. I was trolling on my phone, and I'll get these alerts on my phone, and I came across that the great Tina Turner passed away at the age of 83. And I believe she was struggling with a lot of health problems, cancer, and some other things. And I thought that, we would go ahead and dedicate this special episode of the podcast to Tina Turner. She was a heel stomper, a hair raiser. And when I think of Tina Turner, assassin, is, you ever hear the, the saying, a man's man, well, I think she was the woman's woman. And, and not to veer off into all these different stereotypes that we have now of, genders and so on. When I think of Tina Turner, I mean, she was a woman. She can, class herself up, doll herself up, and just, get it. Or she can just, be like a tomboy and be one of those badass women that you wouldn't really want to mess with, in a situation. And the accomplishments that she has been able to do through her life and her career as an artist is just amazing. And one of the things that I am very impressed with is she was the first woman and the first Black artist to make the cover of the Rolling Stones magazine. And
Really, I did not know that.
Yeah. And which was a great feat, man. And I know in the 80s, okay, and maybe even prior to the 80s, she at her highlight and her achievements, she broke down a lot of barriers. She had to deal with a lot of record producers that were racist. And, she broke through that. She did not allow that, all that negativity back at that time, interfere with what she loved and her passion, to create music and movies. And it's just and she went through a lot of trials and tribulations, from all the abuse that she took, from her ex-husband, Ike.
Mhm.
And that's probably all I'll say about him, because he don't even deserve, any other you know uh
Yeah.
speaking of his name. um
Yeah.
is there any memories, any accomplishments, or
Well,
anything that sticks out for you?
well, what you just said was that she was the first woman and the first black woman to be on the cover of Rolling Stone. Now, this generation doesn't know how important that is,
Oh yeah.
um,
Believe me.
because let's truth be told,
Yes.
the Rolling Stone magazine has become this very liberal rag that is just soaked with like liberal politics.
Yes.
And it used to not really be that. It used to be like about music. And the fact that if you could get on the cover of Rolling Stone, you made it.
Yeah.
And she was on the cover. I did not know that she was the first, but
Yes.
I've always liked her. And one of the things that I really disliked is, um, you know, I like hip hop. I love hip hop. I love Biggie Smalls. I love Tupac. I love Nas. I love all these guys.
Oh yeah.
But every so often you would hear like a line like I'm gonna beat you like Ike beat Tina. And
Right.
I always felt like that was so degrading and disrespectful to her.
It's very disrespectful.
I mean, very disrespectful. I mean, if I'm a black artist and a young black male, and I'm supposed to be looking up to a positive black woman.
Yes.
And I'm not saying that all the artists that I listed, I know Biggie had that, but not all the artists that I listed did that, but enough of them did it where it would become like this thing, and you'd hear it, a common refrain in hip hop music,
Yeah.
which I was always it always bothered me.
Yeah.
I always liked Tina Turner, because she transcended her race, she transcended her sex, and she could rock a stage as good as anybody else, whether they were a man, a woman, if you
Yes.
were a band. I mean, she really could rock the crowd. And I remember seeing an interview that she did. I think it was with Oprah, where she discussed how difficult it was for her after she left Ike Turner, and his abuse, because he had such a hold on her, both financially, emotionally, and just like there was a fear. And she said something to the effect of, I got out, I had only the clothes on my back or maybe a bag that I grabbed. I had no money, literally nothing.
Yeah.
She had made millions of dollars with Ike Turner, and she had been all over the world, and she'd been in the finest hotels and whatnot. And here she was in some little dumpy motel, but she was free. And I
Yeah.
remember her saying that. She was like, I was free. I was free from the abuse. I was free from his control. And she was able to start fresh. But it took her a really long time. The late 70s were not kind to Tina Turner. And a lot of, it took some people to put some faith into her
Yeah.
that she wasn't just Ike Turner's, front woman.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and so they had to, and a black artist is not, they don't invest in black artists, they just don't. And especially a black female.
Yeah.
So she had two things going against her. She was a black artist, she was a female doing a man's music, and nobody wanted to invest in her. And I think it was just one or maybe two labels that took her to, they gave her an offer, and I think it was what, like 84. The 80s were very good to Tina Turner. She
Oh
was
yeah.
the her and Bruce Springsteen and Michael Jackson and Prince and Madonna, all of those people. I mean, they really cemented their legacies in the 80s. And with like, I mean, what are some of your favorite songs by her? I mean,
Oh, my favorite song of, and before I say my favorite song is, let me just touch on, when you listen to Tina Turner's music, okay, she has this soul R&B kind of pop all mixed together. Her voice is just so organic. It didn't need all this washed out software that they use nowadays, with these younger generation of musicians that they, have to have their voice washed and everything. When she sung, it was like, as soon as the song came on, it's like, okay, um it demanded your presence and your just your what do I want to say, geez, your attention. It demanded your attention quick, just how she sang, and her voice was one of a kind. And
yeah,
one of my favorite songs is What's Love Got to Do with It, and that was on the 1984 album Private Dancer. I love that song. Anytime I hear it on the radio, I'll be in my car driving to work or something and everything, and I'll be singing it, and I'll be singing it in the shower sometimes and everything, and kind of freaks out all the kids and everything because that sounds like a dead old dog or something. Um, you know, um, what's one of your favorite songs?
well, that goes right to the top. What's love got to do with it? Her voice was not. I mean, she didn't have that like technically sound voice
Right.
that you would create in like some kind of. I mean, she had her own unique individual voice. You couldn't replicate her voice. Like,
No.
you know, I mean, you see some of these artists like Beyonce and Christina Aguilera and Mariah Carey and whatnot. They have really great voices, but you'll see a lot of people try to sound like them, and some of them come pretty close.
Yeah.
Tina Turner just had a like that. It was like that's why I said like she could rock. I mean, she played with like Eric Clapton. She played
Oh
with
my goodness.
Iggy Pop, Bob,
Yeah.
David Bowie, um, and she just had that voice that it really. I want to say like it sounded like her voice got like kind of pulled through some barbed wire,
Yeah.
and
Like a
like
rough, rugged kind of
yeah, it
voice,
was
but it
really
was
rough.
like it was like a sexy voice. And
Yeah.
when I mean that, in a positive way, it's just like, you know it got you into this mood. It's like, yeah, like a savvy, suave kind of, mood that, she provoked emotions
Oh
in
yeah.
you when you listen to her music. And not only Assassin that she was a singer, musician, artist. She was also an actress.
Yeah, she
And
was
my
in was it was Beyond the Thunderdome, I think it was. It
that's
wasn't
my one of my favorite movies of probably one of my favorite movies of all time is Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. Oh my
so
goodness.
okay, so there's Mad Max. What's the first Mad Max called? Is it just Mad Max?
I think it's just Mad Max. Then it
Okay,
went
and then
to
there's Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, and she
yes.
was incredible in that. I think I don't remember watching the Mad Max film,
Yeah.
the first one. I remember when I was a kid watching the second one and thinking it was the first one.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know that there was a Mad Max before that. That's
Right. And you really didn't have to watch any of them in order.
yeah.
That's why the movies was good. And her and Mel Gibson in that movie was just amazing. And my favorite line from Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. It was kind of towards the end and everything because they were fighting each other and they became like frenemies or whatever you want to call it. And she says to Mad Max is, well, ain't we a pair, Raggedy Man? Because she kept on calling him through the movie, Raggedy Man. In her acting, it wasn't even like acting. It was Tina Turner. She just went by a character name in a movie. Again, when she was acting, she it's her presence got your attention. Was, oh man, let me watch this. She was just an amazing artist all over.
Yeah, she was also in We Are the World, which is the
Oh
and
yeah.
the thing about that is that was like one of the biggest tribute songs ever. Um, I think it was USA for Africa, We Are the World.
Yes. Oh, I
Yeah,
love
and
that.
that was like a huge moment in pop culture. I mean, if we're talking about pop culture, you can't. I mean, it's probably been lampooned and everything, but it was such a big deal. I mean, I remember the We Are the World, I think, it was number one on the charts for like 16 weeks or something like
Yeah.
that. It was like all these artists would release these songs, like, Madonna would have this song, it'd be number one for 10 weeks, and the only thing it hadn't beaten was We Are the World.
Absolutely.
Which was this huge tribute with like 40 artists or whatever.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was so 80s. It was so like, I still remember that part where Bruce Springsteen is like, yeah, like he's like grabbing the microphone and pumping his fist, and he's got like
Yeah.
literally, I think it's like maybe like he's got like one sentence or whatever. I don't know what the right
Yeah.
verbiage is for music, but he literally has one sentence, and he's like, "We're calling out," and
It
now
was amazing.
when you look back on it, it is kind of like cheesy, but at the time, it was this huge thing.
Yeah.
Um, I remember I would say she did have that little dust up with Elton John. I don't know if you remember that, but
A little bit. Yeah.
Elton John and her were going to do a tour, and she's an artist, and she was like listening. They were doing like a sound check or whatever, and somebody's like filming it, and she's like, "Yeah, that doesn't sound." She's like, "That's right, okay, yeah, I like that, okay." And then Elton's playing the piano, and
Yeah.
she's like, "Oh, wait a minute, that doesn't sound right." And of course, Elton John being Elton John,
Yeah.
don't tell him that his piano is not in tune or whatever, and he storms off the stage.
Yeah. I
and
remember that.
and
And
to his credit, though, he did come back and he did apologize to her, but she ended up canceling this tour, which shows a lot of guts on her part.
sure, stuck to
That
her
she was like, "Hey,
guns.
look, if we can't get along even in this beginning like stages, we should just call it quits." And
Yeah.
I think I think she was wise to do it. I mean, can you imagine being on tour for like 40 or 50 shows, going all over the country with this diva named Elton John? And
Right. She didn't need that drama because
yeah,
she
yeah,
she
and
she
you
was
know what?
already in drama.
Yeah, she probably had, since she had her issues with her ex, and that she was now taking ownership of herself in a way, and saying, "You know what? I don't want to be in these situations. I want
Yeah.
to I don't I want to make the music I want to make." And um another one I like is We Don't Need Another Hero.
We don't need. Oh,
And is that
that.
is
Oh,
that from a soundtrack?
I think it might be. Oh my
Yeah, is
goodness.
that or something like we don't?
Matter of
Yeah,
fact,
that's for no, that is for the Thunderdome movie.
Oh, that's yeah. You're right, man. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
and then
Yes.
she did a song with Brian Adams that I really loved, which
Yeah.
was like Only Love. And again, she could hold her own with these guys with these big voices. I mean, I know we probably don't have a whole lot of time that we can. I mean, we could talk all night about her, but
Absolutely.
her saving grace, and I really mean this, was that she teamed up with this Mutt Lang, and Mutt Lang is this notorious producer. I think he ACDC, when ACDC's frontman, like, Bon Scott, dies, um, Mutt Lang is the guy that they kind of turned to get their career. Like, they needed that. They had this new lead singer.
Yeah.
They went to Mutt Lang. Tina Turner teamed up with Mutt Lang, and that's where you got all these. I mean, all these great hits that came off that album that you were talking about, "The Private Dancer,"
Private Dancer.
which
Yeah.
uh, was nominated for every Grammy that year, I think, and
Yeah.
I think it won quite a bit off that.
Yeah. And you know what? I wanted to touch something on the song that you brought up, "We Are the World." You know what, man? That song was monumental because it wasn't about any race. You had so many diversities, so many ethnicities in that song of different different artists and everything. When you listen to that song, and when you listen to each individual um, artist that sang a part, separately, you didn't think about race. You didn't think about all the trials and tribulations a lot of the artists went through, like Tina Turner. And also with Tina Turner, she was a symbol of female empowerment.
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
definitely.
she broke so many barriers in race, and even for women and everything. And here's what's really impressive, Assassin. Tina Turner, experienced a lot of racism, and a lot of people who have never experienced racism would never understand this. Okay. But she refused to, not allow her to get bitter and become, one of the, those negative people that, were against her. She worked with everyone. It didn't matter what race the artist was. She was a loving person. And even though all the abuse that she went with, uh, all the abuse that was put on her by her ex-husband, and all the racist problems that she dealt with, she still remained a woman. Not a black woman, not a white woman, not any kind of what, a woman that girls, younger girls of all ethnicities can look up to and say, hey, that's a woman there. I want to be like that, because she went through the ringer and she did not become one of the haters that, the haters that were hating her. And that's beautiful. And I hope, as this goes on, there's going to be a lot of tribute shows, and I hope they highlight, the person that she was, um more than the artist that she is. um
Well, one thing I've always respected about her is, one, when I think of Tina Turner, I don't think of a female singer. I think of just a great singer.
yeah.
And number two is that she wasn't defined by the abuse. It was a traumatic moment in her life, but she empowered herself to get past it. And it
Yep.
wasn't like in every interview they brought up the abuse. It seems like some celebrities, they want to talk about this one defining moment or something like that.
They use it as a crutch.
Yeah, and it just becomes this. Yeah, I did that. With her, it was. Yeah, it was. And that movie was really great too. And but she was so much more. She was a brand ambassador. I mean, they could, when Madison Avenue calls, you have turned a corner, because you can be the biggest star in the world, but and it's still like this today. Madison Avenue is so race conscious.
Mm-hmm.
They're always thinking about their bottom line. And so if they put you as your spokesman for the brand, you got to be a big deal. And she was. And
Yeah.
so they weren't afraid of like losing any kind of, because they're always thinking about it. And now they're trying to walk this back like, oh no, we don't do that. But they do. And they've had conversations like, will this sell in the South? And will people be able to get past her at being this color and whatnot? Or they have those conversations, but she transcended that. She was I think Diet Coke, she was one of the brands that she promoted. And
Oh yeah.
which I don't like Diet Coke, so I but
The only way that I like Diet Coke if you put a little bourbon in
well, yeah, see, now we're going back to the the yeah, it doesn't take us long to
it.
slide right back into, oh yeah, and put a little bourbon at the bottom. Yeah, but
Yeah.
um well, we should pour out some bourbon tonight for her.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Matter
you
of
know
fact,
what?
yeah, good.
I know you're sad, but this is a really a great, I mean, a moment to kind of celebrate her. And I mean,
Well,
she
that,
lived for 83 years.
yeah,
She went through the wars, and she is a survivor. I mean,
she is a survivor. And you
yeah.
know what really touched me by this today? Oh man, um, when I was looking up some information on her, 83. Well, and I was doing. She was born in 1939, and that's the same year that my dad was born, and that kind of hit me hard. It's like, oh man, same age as my dad would have been if he would have been still alive in that. And one of the things too about Tina Turner, when you watch her perform, you talk about sweat. You know when she's dripping all in sweat,
Oh,
skin all.
yeah. Keep going. But I, as you were talking, I just thought about
No,
something.
go with it, go with it, go with it.
Didn't she like insure her legs for like $1 million?
Oh yeah, oh
I
yeah,
think she was like one of the first people to insure their body.
yeah.
Um, I think Eric Clapton insured his hands.
Oh my
J
gosh.
J Lo, of course, insured her booty, which I can appreciate that.
Oh
But she insured her legs,
yeah,
and it was like $1 million, and it was. I remember that. I think that was like toward the later part of the '80s, like '87 ish,
I
'88.
remember that.
Yeah, and it was like one of these Entertainment Tonight stories that she had insured her legs with Lloyd's of London or whoever
Yeah.
for $1 million,
Oh,
and it was like
that's
this big
awesome.
thing. But that was the '80s too. The '80s was just so, it was just excess. It was like it was like whatever the '70s were about and whatever disco did, the '80s just kind of like took it and like kind of shaped it and like cultivated it a little bit more and made it a little finer.
Yeah.
And of course MTV, she was a fixture of MTV. She's one of the first like major stars to kind of be a brand, on her, Michael Jackson,
Yeah.
Prince, Madonna. So, and that's, isn't that kind of funny? Like, what is MTV now? It's nothing.
No,
Like MTV, they don't play any videos. They have that stupid award show every year where they award the best video of the year that they never played.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
it's like, so it's almost like, in a sense, it's like she created that network. She was one of the stars of that network, and that network is nothing what it was when she was uh, uh, in her prime.
And you know what? And speaking of like MTV, I remember when I was younger watching MTV. There was videos, and it
Yeah,
was fun. You have your friends over, and you watch the videos, and you sing along and everything. Now, and I haven't watched MTV. I don't even know when it was because now it's just reality shows and all this garbage. It's not music television. It's not MTV anymore, which is really disrespectful to the Tina Turners, to the Lionel Richies, to the
You're
Michael
right, exactly.
Jacksons.
Yeah.
Um,
And
to,
they still do that stupid show every year. They give out those moon men um, every year. And it's
yeah,
like nobody has ever seen any of these videos. Like, I mean, and they're certainly not seeing them on MTV.
no,
If they're seeing them on YouTube or something else.
right.
It's not MTV they're watching. But yeah, so yeah, it is kind of it's sad when you think about it. And I don't know. That's all I got. I mean, I've never. She's not one of those artists that I ever was like. I always liked her, even in the '60s and the '70s. I'm a big was a John Fogerty fan,
Oh, okay.
and CCR, Creedence Clearwater Water Revival, and
Oh yeah, that's
she
another.
did a cover of theirs, I think, on the what was it?
Oh,
How did it, Proud Mary? That's the song.
yeah, yeah.
But
Oh yeah, yeah,
she
yeah,
did such an awesome version of it. She did
yeah,
kind of like the traditional style in the beginning, and then she just kicks it and she takes it into this extra notch,
yeah,
and they
yeah. She
sped
picked
it
it
up,
up.
and they made it this like poppy song.
Right.
When it was the CCR version is like slower and very like
Blues
reminiscent of like
grassy.
bluegrassy, the
Yeah.
water, being on a boat, playing it,
But she was able to put that soul and vibe into it and make it a little flavorable.
Oh, the back was. So let's put, I mean, if you want to put a button on this, but back to Ike Turner. So Ike Turner, I remember because the movie had come out.
Yeah.
What's Love Got to Do with It? And I don't know if you remember the talk show host Morton Downey.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was like the mouth, and he he had him on to give his side of the story. And so he's like, a lot has been said about your relationship with Ike or your relationship with Tina, and I want to give you a chance to give your side of the story. So I swear to God, and he probably just did a couple lines of coke in the back, but Ike Turner is like, I never put my hands on Tina
Oh my
ever.
goodness. Come on, man.
And he's like and then he says, like almost in the next breath, the only time I ever put my hands on her is, well, she like hit me, and so I put my knee
Oh.
into her chest, and I'm
Mm.
like, so you did hit her. He was like trying,
Exactly.
and I remember Morton Downey going, well, wait a minute, you just told me that you've never hit her ever in your life,
Oh shoot.
and now you're telling me that, well, wait, you did hit her, so
That's
maybe
the
you,
coke.
yeah, I don't know,
But
yeah,
here's the thing is, the bottom line is, look where Tina Turner, what she became, and look what he became, and that's it, and that's there's the truth right there.
yeah.
There's the truth. So
Well, I will pour out some. I don't have any bourbon right now, but I'll pour out some bourbon for her. That'd be a nice little tribute in our Diet
absolutely,
Cokes. Let's do that. Let's get
there
some
you go.
Diet Coke.
Yep.
We'll get some
Alrighty,
bourbon. We'll put.
folks. You know what? This has been an awesome episode, and our thoughts and prayers go out to Tina Turner's family, her friends, and her fans. And she lived a life worth remembering. And without Tina Turner, there wouldn't be the Beyoncés and all the other popular artists that are out there now. And I'm sure they're all these artists in our generation now are giving her props. And if not, screw them. And this has been great, and we appreciate you guys listening to our podcast. If you're new to the podcast, we are on the Family Proud, Family Strong Network. It's a YouTube channel, and on Spotify. So hit us up, and we'll see you guys on the next road to nowhere. But I will say, on this episode, this road led to somewhere. Feel me?
Yeah, it did. I think we stayed on topic, and I think I think we did a nice tribute for Tina.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Three Blind Mics is sponsored by the Family Proud, Family Strong Network via YouTube and powered by the Digital Media Productions.